Hello?
Hey, I've got a phone call. Is this Mr. Gerhardt?
Yes, this is Jimmy Gerhardt. This is Mayor McCready.
It is. It is.
Yeah, appreciate you calling. Jennifer said you've been really busy today, so.
Yeah, I just got out of a finance meeting and just trying to catch up.
Yeah, well, always fun chasing money around, right?
Yeah. If we can find it, that's what we try to do.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you remember. Like I said, I know you're busy. I sent an email, I believe March 8th, to you about my.
About the
Go ahead.
about your barking dog problem next door.
Yeah, about my concerns, and of course,
Yeah.
and of course, in the certified letter you got too, it said it's a official complaint. I'm not trying to be unreasonable, but I think the main problem here is, and the supervisor that came just, I mean, I'm 64. People have a bad day, but he's just got a really
You're
aggressive.
breaking up real bad.
Yeah, I'm just saying I'm 64. I understand people have a bad day, but he's just got a really nasty disposition. But anyway, they can't pick and choose who they enforce the state criminal misdemeanor laws for. That's
Right.
violating their equal protection rights. And if they would have just threatened the people that if they had to come back, they would arrest them or give them a citation or something. They didn't have to actually do anything. If they would have given them a genuine threat, I believe most people would stop. But see,
Yeah.
they weren't willing to even do that. And that's, Duval, when he was sheriff, wouldn't have done that. And the sheriff before that wouldn't have done that. All them people actually enforced the law, whether they were technically required to or not. And I just don't understand what's going on. I think, but now they're in a power struggle. They're just not going to do. I mean, if I reported a major felony, somebody wrecked a stolen car on my property, I'm not sure they'd actually come and help. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but I can kind of prove all that. But I just want somebody to enforce the law for me and Sherry like they would for anybody else, and
Sure.
that's not being unreasonable. And I know you can't make the sheriff do it. He's kind of like a judge. He kind of does what he wants. But I think the mayor, from what I've been told from a few friends, that you have administrative control over the sheriff's department and some financial control. So I think there's some leverage you might use, or
At some level.
yeah, or
Yeah.
at least say, hey, buddy, this. And of course, I quit recording a bunch of them, but I mean, I probably got 20 to 40 a week where they bark between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. And it's not like it's just regular barking. They're going
Right.
crazy, and they're abusing and neglecting the dogs. They're not feeding them, and when they do, they don't feed them enough. And of course, there's animal abuse laws, but they're misdemeanor laws, so the sheriff's not going to enforce those. I just want somebody to just kind of, at this point, something serious will have to be done because they've seen law enforcement come 3 times and nothing's happened. And,
Have they moved the dogs to the other side of the house?
no, Alan Beecham, I talked to him, and he said he'd asked him to. And when he came last time, he said that he knew that they had not been moved. And I don't. I tried to explain to him. I think he's about my age. I said this is not a normal dog barking thing. I've had dogs, and it's outrageous, and I can't sleep. You know,
Right.
it's been.
Well, see, I had called Alan and asked if he could assist with that, and I was hoping that they would listen to him.
Well, I promise whatever happened, the dogs weren't moved because I got, of course, a couple pictures where they were,
Sure.
and it's got dates on it. That's where the cameras do. And I got one. I think the last video I took out the bedroom window was about a week ago, and the dogs hadn't been moved. And they mowed the yard yesterday, and I thought they'd move the dogs farther away, and they didn't. If they put them on the other side of the trailer, where the trailer would block some of the noise,
Yeah. Well, that's what Alan said he was going
yeah,
to ask him to do.
yeah. Well, see, they didn't do it, and I talked to the man next door, and of course I can just tell he had a bad attitude when I walked up, and he said, that's just the way it is, and uh, he's not going to do what the landlord says. He said the place I was at for 4 months before, which of course triggered something. Most people have 6 month leases, and he said the old people there didn't complain. And of course, I didn't take that as an insult. I'm glad to be this old, but anyway,
Right.
it disagreeable if the first officer would just said, "Hey," because he asked me. He said, if we could arrest them. I said, no. I said, just if you go over there and kind of, you can arrest them. Just tell them you're going to. If they don't stop it, I said, if they have common sense, they'll stop it. And that never happened. And the first guy was talking about social media and didn't want them to talk bad about the sheriff's department. And I'm thinking, fellow, we're crime victims. It's just a misdemeanor, but this is serious. But first guy was younger. I think his name was Johnson, a deputy. But I don't really care, of course, about social media. Now I'm gonna tell you, I posted a couple things on social media, and there's 20-something thousand people done heard the conversation between me and the sergeant at the sheriff's department. He doesn't come off real good, and he just says he is not going to enforce misdemeanor laws for me and Sherry under no circumstances. So that's just,
Have you went up to the court and tried to file a report yourself and take out a summons on your neighbor yet?
Well, they told me I'd have to go and go through Steve Bill's office, and I know Steve. I've known him for years. He was a lawyer for me. He did a corporate charter for me on a business owned, and he was actually a 5% owner after that. He bought into it, so I know him well. But he's just not. I'm not going to do with him what he would probably want me to do to get them to enforce the law. I'm old fashioned. I think everybody should obey the law, and I just that would make me jump through too many hoops when my whole life I've only called a few times, but I've never had a problem with the sheriff's department, at least doing their job, and they just.
Well, from my experience, it's been a while since I was an officer. I can't speak on it's been Lord 8 years now since I've been out.
Yeah. Well, that's not too long.
I know in the past, and I've only done municipal law enforcement, not the county, but you could go and get a copy of the call sheet, right, and go over to the general session side and take out a summons on your neighbor yourself, summons, and then you will go in front of Steve Bill. It's the same process, except you just have to sign the paperwork.
Well,
you only have to see Steve other than what you normally would if an officer done it.
Well, and here again, I understand, but that puts you, when I go, I'll have to eventually go in court, and I'm not.
Well, you'd have to do that anyway if the officer done it.
I understand, but and of course, I'd rather it not be before Steve. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I like him, but I don't agree with his operating procedures. But he'd probably just tell the people, hey, y'all need to stop this, and he'd probably do something like that, and that's not going to be enough, because today's the 15th of April, it's been about 7 weeks, and Sherry and I are sleep deprived. You go to sleep 10, 11, 12. Once you get woke up, it takes you a while to go to sleep, and these dogs, I know you probably didn't.
What do you want the law enforcement officer to do when I talk to the sheriff? What do you want?
I want them to issue these people a citation or a fine. It needs to be at least $500. Now,
when they do that, they're going to summons you to court too, and you'll have to testify.
That'll be fine, but at least the law enforcement will have done what I think is their job first, and I'll have some clout because the law enforcement, to get serious, and I've sent them audio recordings too, and they know. Sure. They saw my security cameras when I was here. I pointed them out, and I've got other recordings, but this is ridiculous, and I promise I wouldn't be wasting my time if it was just regular barking dogs. This is outrageous, and they'll bark for 2 minutes to 10 minutes, and they'll stop for 2 or 3, and then they'll start off again. And these people, since I talked to Alan the last time, I told him I was going to sue him in civil court, and I've done talked to a lawyer about that, and he is liable from what my lawyer said for what they do since I gave him notice. So, once I did that, the people would go outside at night with flashlights and shine lights everywhere. I don't know what they're doing, but so they're getting up at 11 or 1 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I don't understand why they don't have enough sense to try to stop the noise where they won't have to be aggravated by having to go out there and do that. They're just not real. I'm trying to be politically correct, Mr. McCready, but they're just not real bright people.